Welcome to Chaos Pie, where we serve up sweet slices of pandemonium in just 15 minutes. Every day, you deal with the chaos of the reality of business, and you make decisions in a changing and uncertain environment. Chaos Pie is here to make your business life clearer, your decisions easier, and make you laugh while learning how. I'm Brian, and later in the show, I'll say something idiotic, and Garrison will make fun of me in an equally idiotic way. But first, let's talk about today's topic, which is...
Have you ever been a new manager, like you weren't a manager, and then they made you a manager, making you, of course, a new manager? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, sir, I have.
And how did you feel about that?
I was trepidatious.
Yeah, and I mean, did you think that? Was that trepidation caused by worry of how others would see you, or your peers, or how you would do? What was the root of your concern?
Well, that was like 5 years ago. I'm so old and experienced now. Let me think.
Oh yeah, 5 years. That's just years and years ago. That's back when you were like 11. But go ahead. So.
I was definitely worried that we had to hire the right people first.
Right.
Part of it. And then, when we got people, I don't think I was worried about knowing enough to teach them what I knew and that kind of thing.
Right.
I think
you're way too cocky for that. But go ahead.
Yeah, clearly. Maybe just the typical fear of new people, but I think also when you're not used to a position of authority over people, you don't feel like you can actually have it. Some people, like I felt that way. Like it, a year or two later, I was able to say, yeah, go do this, or yeah, let's do that.
Right.
It's more decisive. But in the beginning, I was like, hey, what do you think if we,
listen, everybody up. I'm the new manager here, and I was wondering if you guys thought it was a good idea. Maybe we try something different than the crap that's not working now. I mean, we don't have to do it now, but right.
It's like, they said that I'm supposed to be your manager, and I was thinking, what do you think?
Right. Yeah, that's called falling on your sword. That's when you just kind of.
Yeah.
That's called, actually, this is something I like to call jellyfish management. That's a jellyfish manager is a person who goes, all right, listen, they got a new idea. I'm not really sure if it'll work or not. Personally, I wouldn't do it that way, but,
right.
Do the best you can. If you need me, I'll be drinking in my car. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. I made that mistake, too, which is, I'll be like, I need to spend a large percentage of my day in my office with the door closed. So, if you really feel like you need some management, knock, and it might not be able.
If you're desperate for leadership, just desperate. You just have no idea. You don't even know what you're doing. You're like, you just can't figure out what to do. Then you knock on my door, and I don't really have it.
It turns into panic. Knock on my door. How about that?
I'm an open door policy. I like to close that door a lot, but it's open. But I will shut it at just a moment's notice.
The open door policy is that the door is rarely open.
Right. You think it's common for new leaders, to kind of feel like, okay, now that I'm the boss, I should just hide from my people? Because I think that happens sometimes. I think new managers go, I'm the boss now, they told me that I can't really be too buddy-buddy with my people, so now let me hide from them. And I think that does happen.
I don't know. I know I'm a little weird.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my favorite thing really was to get them in a room and brainstorm, some creative, whether it was creative stuff for a client or when we were talking about processes. I felt like I got a lot of buy-in that way. And once I was comfortable with leading and more confident, that worked pretty well.
Right.
But I do think, I think it was hard for me to go from being an expert type of dude to a manager because I had to spend more time managing and more time
working on administrative things and plans and stuff than actually working on the work I was expert at, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was say that was weird because then I felt like now I'm suddenly doing something I'm not good at, I've never done before, and I was afraid of getting out of touch and behind in my field if I delegated too much. But then if I wanted to do actual work like they were doing, I needed to, close off, and I wasn't available as a manager.
Well, I don't even want your job now. Whatever you just said, I just But I think that's what happens. I think we get overwhelmed. But one of the things we found out, we did some interviews with some young managers and people, under 30 and who are being asked to go into management positions, and a lot of them said no. I don't want to be the manager because, first of all, I'm supposed to do my job and do what I've got to do, but then I have to make sure these assholes do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, that's very mean.
That was just, Okay, I'm making this sound meaner than the people were. I'm just trying to embody the entire, body of information, and I did that in apparently a very negative, horrible way. But basically what they're saying is that I've got to manage all these people and do what I have to do, and it's going to take a lot of my time. And yeah, you're going to pay me more money, but is the money worth it if it's a lot of hassle and if I have to work longer hours? And a lot of people were turning down the job. A lot of companies were concerned that their new young managers didn't want to be managers. They're like, hey, I'd rather just leave at 5 o'clock and not have a hassle with these guys. Yeah. I left out any type of adjective to describe those guys. These people. So
yeah.
That if they used to be your friend, you got a guy that you know is your friend, and maybe you even had a social interaction with this person, and now you got to go, okay, listen there, Skylar, the bottom line is that I'm the boss now. I'm the boss man now.
Yeah.
That you work for me or my boss told me now that I have to be your boss, which is a weird conversation.
It is. Sometimes, though, that's the only way to do it. Like, if you do have to make that bridge from, friend or coworker to, you have to slowly move into that authority, and then you do need to use, like, I think I recall some conversations where the guy I reported to actually said, you can use me as the bad guy. Just say, I said, we got to do it like this. And I'm like, okay, that's the policy now. And then once we've established that, I became the keeper of the policy, which started to give me a little more authority.
Right.
And then the relationship started to change.
Yeah.
But I do think still, like, especially with Gen Y, that it's really important to stay engaged with them. And one of the ways to do that sometimes is, our entire workplace was using instant messaging, like a AOL instant messenger type thing.
Right.
And that was fine. So we use that and other things. Sometimes we'd share jokes, sometimes whatever. But, I think since Gen Y is used to so much like text conversation or whatever, that that makes them feel more engaged. Because like you said, and when Gen Y doesn't feel engaged with their managers, they may leave,
That's right. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. We looked at a lot of exit interviews, people under 30. It's like nobody's talking to me, nobody's paying attention to me, I'm not getting any feedback, and I'm gone,
Yeah.
So that's really true. Yeah, I think it's tough. I was a 27-year-old, guy put into like a VP position back in the day, and it was, very tough for me, and I had to have conversations with people who were like older than me, and I had to go, okay, and I really had this conversation. So let me explain this to you. I'm the boss, and you were not the boss. So that, let's start off with that. And that's a tough conversation to tell someone, I know you've run this department for a long time, but they put me in charge of all the 5 of these departments, Mm-hmm. And so you know more than I do. That is absolutely true. But I need to report to my boss what's going on here. I need that information from you. I'm not going to tell you what to do unless you do something psychotic or something, But, so I had to have those kinds of conversations. It wasn't easy. But before that, I'd been promoted from a supervisor my first leap into management was interesting because I had some people who were weirded out because I was selected to be the boss. Like, why are you? You're not the best person here. You're not the best producer. You don't have the most education. You're not the smartest. How come you're the boss? I said, first of all, it's not my fault that I'm the boss. I was, just for the record, they selected me for this, and I think they probably did because I communicate well And the worst kind of leader is the one that was the best person at the job because they have no tolerance for people who do things differently. So I was probably selected because, I tried 15 ways to fight my way to the middle, you know what I mean? So I had an idea of what would work in general, and that made me more understanding of people who had different ideas and different ways to do it. That's really why somebody is selected, by the way, not necessarily because they were fabulous,
Well, if somebody said that to you, I would say clearly the reason you weren't selected is the kind of thing that you just said.
Right. You hear what just came out of your mouth? That kind of crap? You can't be the boss talking like that. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the employees we had that worked were people who came in and did not really question the hierarchy. Because, it's your job, and, if you should be in a better position, you probably will be later, and if not, maybe you just move to another company or whatever. But
right.
But yeah, and I had a couple. It's always you get people that come in, they're not doing what you need them to do, or they're not following policies, or they're not showing up on time, or they you tell them something and they kind of roll their eyes without realizing it.
Right.
Those people over time, you create like a track record of infractions.
Right.
You actually have to get rid of. You just have to fire them. And one guy I felt really bad about because I really, really liked the guy, but he had some issues, some issues to deal with that were affecting his work, and we just.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I had a lady who worked for me, and I was brought in from a satellite area, and she just didn't get the job, which was my job. And after about a year, we had to let her go because she just couldn't live in the environment where she didn't have my job.
Yeah.
And it was like every week she caused some type of dramatic weirdness,
Mm-hmm.
and was like trying to undermine or challenge my authority in a really weird kind of sneaky way. And then,
Yeah.
And then she got even more upset because I was either too busy or just didn't get it, but I somehow wasn't upset by what she was doing, and she became upset for my lack of reaction. It was just really weird. So I'm sorry if I knew more about your evil plot or understood it, I'd be more upset. But I don't know what the hell you're doing, really. So it just looks like But to get back to something that is a big concern, and that is, the decision to say, okay, I'll take the job and be the boss. And there's two sides of this. If I'm the person who's being, given an opportunity for management, what do I want? And I think now, what I want is I want to not have my job be so much more difficult that I don't see the benefit in it. I think that nowadays you have to make sure that leadership, is something that it comes with more responsibility. That's for sure. But it has to be beneficial. So I think, what I would want if I'm in that situation, I would want to, not have to do, 10 times more work, or not have to feel like that I'm, that it's just not worth it. So what that means, a company that's going to, promote this guy into this guy, meaning person, and this man or woman into this leadership position, the company has to say, okay, well, we can't say, okay, we want you to make 20%, we're going to pay you 20% more money, and now you're going to work late every night. Because I think a lot of people, if you're in your 20s right now, you value your time, your social time, almost more than work. And that work is something you do to allow you to have social time. And the idea that things are like they used to be, where people said, okay, work is more important than my life, those people don't feel that way. And in order to get them to be in management positions, you're going to have to make management, the job, more beneficial to have. The reason this is a good job, we're going to pay you more money, you're going to have authority, we're going to use your expertise and your communication abilities, and, you're not going to have to work 10 times harder either. So there's benefit to it. I think that's the key to making it actually work.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. One, I know there are companies where the entire culture is you have to work 10 hours a day, but it does seem weird if you would have to suddenly work more than other people to be a manager. To me, it sounds like that means that, there's that it's been around for decades, this issue with, management is not really as valuable a position somehow, and that you can't be a professional manager who doesn't do anything else.